welcome to my banqueting build log for Stronghold Kingdoms. In this video, I'll be covering days 8 to 14 and documenting the progress that I've experienced in that time period. Anyway, let's point out the obvious. Of course, I am currently at 3 villages. If we take a look at the rank, my current rank is Knight 4th rank, and I'm progressing quite nicely, so I'm pretty confident I'll be getting up to Baron in at most a day and a half. Let's take a look at the research that I've been working on. Starting off in the military tab of the research tree, I put 2 research points into weapon making, which proceeded to unlock siege mechanics, which I then put 1 point of research into to unlock the siege workshop, which allows you to build catapults in your villages. I put 7 points into defenses for a total of level 8. I put an additional 5 points of research into command for a total of level 10. I put 9 points of research into longbow, maxing it out at level 10. And at the very bottom of this tree, I put 1 additional point into leadership to unlock my 3rd village. And in the education tree, I put 4 points of research into transportation. The interesting thing about this is I really didn't feel the need to speed them up past this point. I am at the place in the game where I don't have so many goods to sell that I'm actually being restricted by my merchant speed. So this is actually done quite well for me. I just think there are better researches to invest those points in currently. I put 7 points of research into engineering, maxing it out at level 10. And I put 1 research point into stockpile capacity. The idea behind this is that with fully maxed engineering research and at least 1 point in stockpile capacity, and with tools fully researched in the industry tab, I'll be able to build a cathedral in all my villages. My stockpiles will hold enough goods to build a cathedral. This is a little bit interesting. I put 10 points of research into theology. So as you can tell, that is a major investment in the past week. This unlocked the Eucharist technology, which I then proceeded to research. And by researching this, it will allow me to interdict all of my own villages, regardless of the rank that I'm at. I think this is important in even the early game if you end up getting involved in any sort of war. The only certain way you can be assured of protecting yourself is through interdiction. And I know my faith points currently are not that high, but I hope to be working on that pretty soon when I get my cathedrals built. In addition to putting a point into Eucharist, I also put 1 point into Ordination to unlock 1 monk for my villages. 1 monk is not ideal, but it will suffice for the time being, considering the fact that I really don't plan on using monks for anything else. I'm not going to be sending monks out to other players. I'm not going to be sending them to my parish, so there is really no situation where I'd be caught without a monk in my village to throw up some ID if I received an incoming captain attack. Lastly, I invested 2 points of research into literature to unlock both the troubadour's arbors and the maypole for my villages, which will increase the popularity in those villages, which I was really struggling with. So let's take a look at the villages. This is my first village yet. Now, in the past week, I was actually struggling with popularity issues, as you may have noted, but right now I'm doing okay. I'm bribing my peasants a little bit. I do have cards in play for ale, apples, and cheese, so I am boosting all of those, but with the introduction of the popular buildings, that gave me an additional 25 popularity, which is really quite significant if you subtract 25 from 79. So those definitely helped. I would definitely recommend investing in literature as opposed to maybe a 3rd food type or even ale, because ale, it's a resource that requires you to continually produce in order to feed it to your peasants. And I'm only getting 6 popularity from it at this point. So not really happy about that investment. I think it could have gone better. Obviously, it would have been better directed into the literature field of study. That's what it is. And as you probably noticed, even though I have relatively decent popularity here, not getting a whole lot of passive honor. Just a little under 2,000. And that's really not where the majority of my honor is coming from. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Now, as you can see here, I'm currently ranked number 29 as banqueter. And the banqueter rank is not affected by cards, so there aren't players who could be producing more goods based on cards than me. There's simply 29 or 28 players, I should say, who are producing more banquet goods natively in their villages than I am. Overall, I'm content with this ranking. I'm not very hardcore player at all, even when I do play with cards. And obviously, if you focused a little bit more time and effort on the game, you would likely be much higher in that ranking, especially in a world such as Island Warfare, where we currently only have 15,000 players on it at the moment. And obviously, a lot of these are inactive. They just joined for the opening to see what it was like and have proceeded to quit. At least 2 individuals in my parish itself have gone inactive. So once there is a purge of inactive players from the server, probably in another 7 days, we'll likely see that number drop a bit. When it comes to quests, I have to admit that my performance in this area of the game was a little bit lackluster, considering I had 7 days to complete something besides the 2 quests that I did complete. As it turns out, I managed to complete Ride Like the Wind 1 and Gold Horde 3. Once again, the quests that are largely holding me up are ones that are based or predicated almost entirely on either attacking AIs or scouting for goods or scouting AIs. So right now there is currently a lack of AIs in my part of the world, so I rather focused on defense instead, because you can net a fair amount of honor from a successful defense, as you might be able to notice here. I was recently attacked by the enemy siege camp within the last hour. My first 2 villages held out and my 3rd one lost, but let's just take a look at the honor gained. 10,000. That's pretty decent. I'm not going to complain about it, and considering what you can make from wolf lairs, I'd have to hustle a little bit, so it'd be a little bit more effort to actually get more honor from the wolf lairs than I'm just getting defending. And also this sort of plays into the whole, you want to make sure that the enemy siege camp armies do not return from your villages, because that is a red flag to anyone else on the map who just happens to be watching. It tells them that your keep is pretty much wide open, because the AI is not known for being overly competent when it comes to attacking villages. Obviously, a player themselves could do much better. So if the AI is managing to get to your keep, a player who knows what they're doing most definitely will be able to as well. Yeah, this is the progress that I'm currently at with my castles. I did, for the first attack that I actually won against by the AI, I had added some additional small towers around the perimeter of it, but I've since replaced those with the greatest towers, and that's working out pretty well. It's what I wanted to do from the beginning, but that was one area of the game that I also mentioned I probably would have redone, hindsight being 20/20. But I'm just working out a basic layout here for my castle. That's really how I usually build them. It is a middle-of-the-road castle. I've seen better ones and, of course, worse ones. Second village, similar progress. One of the biggest bottlenecks is just getting enough stone to continue both village building production and castle building, while at the same time doing some decent upgrades in my parish. So let's take a look at that. I'm holding steady with the votes, obviously, because I have 3 villages here, so I'm going to end up with more votes than anybody else has an opportunity to get. And I did place the Metalworkers Guild, which is going to increase the productivity of my metalworkers shops once I have upgraded it sufficiently. Currently I'm on level 3 with it, and the Tailors Guild is at level 4. My 3rd village that I got in the past week, it is also a highland, obviously, and I'm building it up much like the other 2, so there really isn't anything really that remarkable to see here or to make note of. As you may or may not have noticed, in all 3 of my villages that I've now shown to you, I haven't built any of the religious buildings, which is a shame, because they really generate a lot of faith points, and faith points are one of the more finite resources in the game, something that you really want to start producing early on. So I would really like to focus my efforts on building those buildings next. The castle, however, on the 3rd village is a bit different. I haven't been able to produce enough units in this village yet to actually hold back the enemy AI attacks, and I simply built up a really fast but cheap defense using lookout towers. And obviously all 3 of my villages do have liege lords, and there is a good amount of honor to be made from this. Right now, per day, I'm making 10,000 honor. That's about the equivalent that I got from defending those enemy siege camps. So if you factor that in, I made 50,000 honor this day just from defending 2 attacks from these siege camps. Well, no, like 70,000 honor from defending 2 waves of attacks against me from the enemy siege camp, and then the amount of honor that I'm getting from having liege lords. It's about 70,000 honor. And given the fact that it's costing me 100,000 honor to rank up a day, that is definitely more significant than it has been when I was a little bit lower in rank. So I would definitely recommend you seeking out a good liege lord, because there is a decent amount of honor to be had there. Finally, we will be covering the cards that I played. I think I'll just take this from the top. When it comes to apples, I played 12 regular orchard management cards. I have been buying these cards and they don't really cost that much. When it comes to cheese, I have been playing milkmaid cards. Haven't run out of those yet, but obviously when I do, another card that's cheap enough to buy on a pretty regular basis. When it comes to ale, I have been using both hops tending and advanced hops tending cards. I played 5 hops tending cards and 7 advanced hops tending cards. In regards to wood, I played 3 woodsmanship cards and 3 advanced woodsmanship cards. Wood overall is not a resource that I've been really wanting for as opposed to stone. And speaking of which, I played 6 stonecraft cards and 6 advanced stonecraft cards in the past week. I have started using iron smelting cards, and I played 3 of those in the past week. Mainly this was due to the fact that I needed iron to upgrade the guilds in my parishes, and I simply was not producing enough. I am much better off probably buying iron at this point in the game, because I'm making a lot of banquet goods, and making that many banquet goods is actually allowing me to make a pretty decent profit off of selling the excess stuff that I make, which is financing the banquet buildings that I continue to build. But it could also finance something as significant as the goods that I need to build up my guilds in the parish and provide iron for my village. So that might be an alternative method that you might want to shoot for. As I pointed out, when it comes to my merchants, they are not that fast. So if you went down that route, you'd likely want to max out transportation. For me, it's just easier to play the iron smelting card. In regards to venison, I played 4 advanced deer stalking cards and 8 regular deer stalking cards. For carpentry, I played 4 advanced furniture making cards and 8 regular furniture making cards. Looking at metalware, I played 5 advanced metalcraft cards and 7 regular metalcrafts cards. Finally, in regards to clothes, I played a total of 12 tailoring cards. Most of which, I'd say about half now, I ended up needing to buy. I haven't played any weapons cards, namely because my current weapon production, albeit very low, is sufficient given the fact that I don't have a lot of excess peasants and my popularity isn't the best for recruiting purposes. Also, I think I should make note of the fact that I did play 1 Iron Hull card. This could easily be substituted, as I pointed out, for simply buying iron from a local market. The last bit of premium currency I used was a 30-day premium token. It's not necessary. It makes things a lot easier, once again, but if you are really dedicated to the game and you're around to make sure that your villages are consistently building buildings and your research queue at least has 1 research going in it, you wouldn't need a premium token. Overall, a 30-day premium token is a pretty decent investment in the game. Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm in the same house, so really nothing has changed politically. It's interesting, though, that so far House 17 appears to be an ally, but, you know, that can always change in the future. And that would leave me in a bit of a pickle because, as you are probably aware, my advice usually is to join the House of Majority in your county because things tend to go a little bit smoother when that's the case. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.
Stronghold Kingdoms. The battle has just begun.